Good morning, I'm Jess.
I'm Sam.
And welcome to 8THIRSTY. This is part 4 of a series we've named Up Close and Personal, a personal story. And we're talking about breast implant illness, and I am the case study.
So as promised last time, we're going to talk about some of the testing that can be done as part of your investigative process into finding out what's causing your symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
So Jess, why don't you tell the people what you were tested for when you went to your GP?
Okay, so I'd never met my GP before, so I had to explain to her a little bit about myself anyway. So we didn't have a history.
Yep.
And she said to me, Jess, we're going to organise a women's blood test for you. I thought, wow, is that extensive? And so it covered quite a few things that include iron, B12. What we're going to do is we're going to put a list of these things that she tested me for in my blood test in our notes.
Yep.
So you can actually have a look at what's involved in that. So Sam, this is a journey where, as someone that's going through something, I have to be very honest and share the truth with what's going on, because if I hide or think that something's not important, I make my own decision about what I'm going to share. I could actually hamper the outcome of finding out how I can actually help myself more.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes. And, I think in our last video, maybe a couple previous, we talked about how there's no definitive test for breast implant illness. It's not a matter of going, I'll go to my GP, I'll tell them what I suspect, they'll give me a blood test, and then they'll say, yes, you have breast implant illness, or you don't have breast implant illness. There's a whole set of different symptoms that people can get, and that can have a lot to do with things because we're all individuals, right? So your particular symptoms were fatigue, and we spoke about them in the last video, so just a brief rundown. Poor concentration, some weird skin stuff, some weird hair stuff,
migraines, inability to sleep. So something she did mention to me, she's like, do you have family history of any of these things? And she went through some of the things. She even said to me, do you have a family history of autoimmune disease? And we don't. So it's really important to be as knowledgeable about your history. So talk to your parents, your sisters, your brothers, whatever, about things that might actually be impacting your health.
And it's important to note, a lot of people don't know if they have an autoimmune condition either.
Wow.
So simply asking someone, do you have a family history of that, is not that thorough.
Right.
So we would say, because your symptoms are going to be varying, and we talked about this, in detail, how are we going to communicate to everyone what they should be getting tested for? But the steps that we would encourage you to follow are, if you've got a GP or a doctor, practitioner of some kind who you trust, go to that person, speak to them about what your symptoms are. A good practitioner will use those symptoms and your case history and your family history to choose which tests they're going to send you for. Once you get the results of those tests, your GP will often give you some advice on what to do. In your case, the advice you got was to get some iron supplements because your iron was quite low. Now, we don't know whether that iron is low because it might be diet related. We don't know whether something's happening with that breast implant device in your body that's causing something to not be absorbed correctly. So it's an ongoing investigation of things. It's not a simple matter of going to the doctor, getting tested, and then booking your appointment to get your breast implants out, if that's what you're choosing to do. And
because our bodies are incredibly complex, there's a lot going on inside our bodies and on the outside of our bodies. There's an army of parts of our body that are designed by God to do certain things at certain times. There's an infection, there's an army of whatever's in your body that come in and fight that, and there's backups, and there's all these kind of things that work together like a body should. There's scriptures about that. The whole body working together to work in unity together. But I have foreign devices in my body that I put there 10 years ago when I went to my surgeon, and
there's a problem. So my body can't naturally fight off what's going on. Although it might be trying its guts out to try and fight this problem. Like if you've got a splinter, you can see that heat, that redness, until your body finally does something to either dissolve that splinter or eject it through its process of swelling and pussing, which is all very natural workings of the immune system. Trouble is, if you've got that splinter or invasive thing inside your body, you can't see all those things that are happening. But one of the ways your body might be dealing with that is by sending all of those little messenger immune cells to the site to try and kill a bacteria, if that's what's going on in there, or try and remove the heavy metal or toxin that's in there. And that redness and swelling may be happening. Another thing that could be happening is it's tricking your immune system into thinking that there's parts of your own body that need to be fought against as well, because you've got this device in there for so long that it's become part of your body. So, I mean, get the devices out if that's what you want to do. We're not going to tell you should go and do that. That's what you're doing. I'm telling you. Because I know what it feels like. So your symptoms will vary. You need to make sure that you're going to get investigated to eliminate possible other causes of your symptoms as well. Like there is a breast implant related cancer that you can definitely be tested for. If you've got serious fatigue issues and things like that, you should be tested for a heap of other things. But the very first step will be going and getting some blood tests. The more information you have, the more informed decisions you can make. So this is groundwork, really. Yes, it's a long process. Ultimately though, no matter what your symptoms are, if they're related to breast implant illness, you're only ever going to be doing things that will manage or decrease those symptoms until explant. So that's right, because then you're just dealing with the symptoms and not the cause. You're not getting the splinter and we can dampen the cause. I mean, in your case with your low iron, I've prescribed iron supplements, and that has caused your fatigue to lift gradually over time. But if something's going on in there, if some metal is leaching out of those implants that's displacing iron in your body, we're just going to have to keep pumping you full of iron supplements, which is expensive. And you're not actually really getting anywhere. Well, it's just masking the symptoms. It's not addressing the cause of the symptom. So if there's a lady out here today and she's listening to this and she's maybe listening to some of the symptoms and the way she's feeling and thinking, well, that's kind of similar to me, but she's thinking, but I don't want to get them out. That's a tricky one. So I would recommend the same kind of process. Go to a doctor or a practitioner that you trust, start some investigations, eliminate the big causes that could be, fatal. And then work your way through the symptoms and try to dig to another cause. If you don't find another cause, maybe that's what you need to hear. I mean, if no other cause can be found, then chances are very high that it's going to be the breast implant. And that might be the push you need to hear to get you to make that decision. Because your health is so important, and it doesn't just affect you. Some of us can say that our decisions don't impact other people, but they do. My husband, my children, they are impacted by me not being well right now. And it doesn't just stop there. Like, I'm not working at the moment because I can't. Like, my relationships with people, I'm going to have to pull out sometimes of going to events and doing things because I just don't have the energy. So you're not actually benefiting others as well as yourself. Which is our major work as Christians, right? Yeah. We're not to do life on our own. And when one part of us is hurting, it affects more people than just you. So our prayer is that when you or someone is going through this, that you'll actually be encouraged by this and know that there's actually
great steps that you can take, like going to a GP, getting the blood test done, talking to a naturopath. And I must say, there's a lot of words here that I don't understand. I haven't done the study that you have to understand what these mean. And for instance, my bilirubin levels were really high. Is that correct? And that can indicate something that I would never even heard of. I'm like, bilirubin, that's a really cool word. Like, what does it mean? But there's a lot of weight to that. And if I just Google and I'm trying to work it out for myself, I'm probably going to really do a disservice to myself. If I can get alongside someone that is cheering for me and believes that she can get to the bottom, because you're a detective, Sam. That's actually, I don't think they should be called naturopaths. I think they're natural detectives, actually.
Another thing that's worth investigating is, did I say this already? Looking at your diet and making sure that you're getting the right types of nutrients. There are a lot of nutrient deficiencies that can present with some of these symptoms as well. So fatigue, skin rashes, headaches, all of those types of things. One of the things that your immune system does when it detects an invader is to release histamine. So some people might have heard of histamine headaches. They're related to migraines. Histamine release in excess is related to migraines. Histamine's in a lot of the foods we eat as well. So
what's an example of a food with histamine?
Oh, aged cheese.
Okay.
Parmesan, that type of stuff.
Right, so that could cause a trigger effect.
Red wine, chocolate, that type of thing. So some people are sensitive to those types of things, and that might be a reason why one person with breast implant illness is experiencing that set of symptoms and another one isn't.
Interesting.
It could be down to the way that your body processes certain things.
And so an allergy test would be helpful in a case like that.
So once you've had your initial bunch of testing based on your symptoms that you tell your GP or your practitioner, sit back, reflect on those results. If you're not sure how to interpret them and you're not satisfied with how your GP has explained it to you, then search out someone who can explain it to you. And one little thing to note quickly is, if you get your tests and you're told that they're all normal or they're all in normal range, think about what that means, because what it actually means is normal range is simply an average result of all the people who've been tested at that particular pathology lab.
Oh, wow.
So when you think about that, I mean, that's sick people, that's healthy people, and they've averaged out the normal result that they're getting.
Okay.
So if you think about the types of people that are going and getting blood tests, Jess, do you
usually
go when you're healthy? Exactly.
No.
So the average result includes everyone. So the amount of sick people getting those tests at that lab really brings down the bottom of that average or normal range. And normal isn't optimal.
And I want to live an optimal life because I have optimal goals.
Yes. So, and there are many naturopaths who will offer you that service of helping to interpret your pathology results and tell you what optimal ranges are and how to get those results improved.
So Sam, you took my symptoms, because I'd been seeing you already. So you took the symptoms that you knew I had.
Yes.
You could see me in action, so you could see some of the symptoms as well. I had the blood tests. You had the blood tests to look at as well. And from those observations you made and the research that you did, and you are a very good researcher. I put my hats off to the amount of work put into naturopathy. It's a lot. And then you formulated the correct herbs, vitamins, minerals specifically to me. Because I could have just done a Google and I could have gone, oh yeah, I'll get that and I'll put it in my diet. For instance, the way that you've got me taking my particular iron supplement, there is no constipation whatsoever. Now, I don't want another symptom added to my list. And if I had self-diagnosed and put myself on an iron tablet, or just got what the pharmacist or the doctor had prescribed, I can pretty much guarantee I would be constipated right now.
It's a common thing with iron supplements.
Yeah, so knowing the way you did it, which was very specific, changes everything. It's actually like this. From someone's point of view of being quite fit and having a lot of experience in playing sports and everything, having the best coach, knowing what your game should be like, and going,
Shut up and give me 20.
Yeah, And knowing that you can trust your coach because they actually know what you're capable of. So, and I've really felt the whole time, Sam, not just as a friend, but as a naturopath, you have been cheering me on, and you've done the research to make sure that you're working alongside me, not just going, oh yeah, phew, take these.
That's good.
And there's certain things you told me, no, we won't be doing that. So you're actually not just trying to sell your product. You're like, no, that's actually not necessary. We're not going to do that. We're going to do this. And we're going to keep seeing how we're going.
Great.
So,
and you should understand why you're being prescribed certain things as well. And that
True.
brings me to another point with your symptoms. If you're taking any prescribed medication, and I'm not saying at all that you should stop taking
Right.
that. Please don't do that without advice from the person who prescribed it to you. That a lot of common medications can have side effects that cause some of these symptoms that are associated with breast implant illness as well.
Right.
Oral contraceptive pill is one. Tricyclic antidepressants is another one, which is very commonly prescribed. Statins for cholesterol control can deplete certain nutrients in your body. Statins is a classic one where if people come to me and they're taking statins, I will often send them back to their GP and get them retested for their cholesterol to see whether in fact
right.
it's still necessary for them to be taking. And in some cases they can reduce
Right.
and phase out that medication completely, which has resulted often in a complete resolution of their muscle aches, joint pain. So
That's cool.
rather than going to the doctor and saying, oh, I've got muscle aches and joint pain, and being prescribed a painkiller or
Right.
an anti-inflammatory medication or something else, investigating the cause of those symptoms is super, super important.
Great.
And just to reiterate, don't stop taking medication.
Yeah. We
I
need
didn't
to be,
say that.
No, we need to be accountable.
But let's
And-
investigate it holistically
True.
and find out, is it causing you more harm than good to be taking certain things? That includes supplements and herbs that you've decided to prescribe for yourself as well, because they can all have side effects.
Right. So we're just saying, listen to wisdom. Wisdom investigates and is accountable,
Yeah.
and learns along the way. I'm learning a lot.
Yeah. So, starting point, just to reiterate, see someone, get some basic blood testing done.
Yeah.
Explain your symptoms to them very thoroughly and very honestly so they know what to test for. If they don't ask about your family history, then tell them that. If they don't ask about your medical history, tell them that. I mean, they're generally not going to ask, do you have breast implants, if you're going in there with some symptoms
Right.
of fatigue.
Yeah.
So make sure you give them all the information so they can make informed decisions. They're
Because
trained.
you're on the same team. Like, ultimately, if you've got someone that actually loves what they do, they're going to be cheering on your health. Yeah, that's really cool. You had an interesting stat that you shared with me before, Sam,
Yes.
about
So-
explants. So for those that may not have watched our previous videos about breast implant illness, we have talked about the fact that I'm actually getting an explant, taking out the implants, and that's actually the best way to fix this. But you had a stat that you wanted to share.
So in 2022, so you can get this information from Medicare Australia, there were almost 5,000 explant surgeries done in Australian women.
So this is 2 years ago.
Breast implants, sorry.
2 years ago, there was 5,000
Yep.
explants in
Interesting
Australia.
to know, in 2016, which was just 6 years if my math is correct, prior to that,
Right.
there was something like 470.
Right.
So that's a dramatic increase in the amount of explants that have been performed.
That's
So
a
why?
huge jump up.
Yeah.
So 2024 we're in now, which is 2 years past that
So you could
5,000
imagine-
explant.
Yeah, it's growing numbers. If it's growing at that rate, then I'm not that great at maths, but you'd imagine maybe 8,000.
Well, the first time that I'd ever heard of this, and I did watch somebody's, let's call it a testimony, BII testimony online, which, was quite graphic. I wouldn't recommend watching it, but it did help teach me about this, and that was in 2021. And since that video, Now, the amount of women that are sharing their story, I mean, it's very easy now to find information on breast implant illness.
And we spoke last week of one particular study that found that 100% of the women involved in that particular study, which was 50 participants, 100% of them had all or most of their symptoms resolved within under 100 days, 93 days of explant surgery. So, I mean, it's not an easy process to go through, as you've detailed so far.
Yep.
And it's not even begun, really.
No.
So
we don't even have a surgery date.
It's not a surgery you go to have for fun, to get your breast implants removed.
No.
So people are doing it for a reason.
That's right.
And they're hearing stories from other women, positive stories of these horrible, life-debilitating symptoms going away after they've had them taken out.
What a great relief.
So, I mean, the research isn't there yet. People aren't, I mean, who's going to pay to get this research done?
Well, probably not the cosmetic industry, because...
Sadly.
I can't speak. What is it called? Cosmetic surgery.
No, I want you to call it plasmetic. That's great. Cosmetic surgery. It's a massive industry, and they, you know, for the most part, they're banking on people wanting to
improve their feelings of themselves and their looks. I mean, there is certainly reasons why people do it that aren't that way. And either way, it doesn't matter why you're looking into it or have done it. The reason we're bringing this to you is, what's your health like? Are you thriving? Like, I'm not thriving, but I'm excited that I will be. But we want to read a scripture, and I believe it's in Proverbs.
You believe correctly. It is Proverbs 4:20-22.
Okay.
Can you read my writing? Do you want to read it?
You read it for me.
My son, attend to my words. Incline thy ear unto my sayings. Let them not depart from thine eyes. Keep them in the midst of thine heart, for they are like unto those that find them. Life. They are life. You can read my writing better than that. They are life unto those that find them, and health to all their flesh.
Ah, that is beautiful. So that's listening to the wisdom that comes out of the Bible, actually. So if this is just a side shoot, but probably the most important message of this video, if you don't know who God is, it's time to figure it out. Just another side note. Last night, we were behind an accident that was horrific, very late at night, and we had to wait 3 hours, which, you know, wait as long as you need to.
That's long.
It's a long time to be idle, just waiting. But it reminded my husband, myself, and our children, the fragility of life. It's so, in a moment, it could just be gone. So I just want to encourage you. Your health is definitely super important, but your health for your soul eternally is the most important thing that you can ever invest in. So we're praying that you work that out, and we're cheering everyone on, aren't we, Sam?
We sure are.
Go, you can do it.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon. We'll continue on.
Great. Bye.
Bye.